This is Ulises for the lab that we have to complete for secure computing. This lab with these images and PDFs. I'm going to go through all this document. Let me warning you about some specific things that I found relevant. And I'm going to do a video because this is so annoying and I have done this too many times, so it might be helpful for you. The first thing is that be careful with multiple submissions. For instance, I have here my key twice, so that's an error, even though the document says that we can delete the Gunnar's key. I did a mistake and delete my own key, so I don't have access to these keys anymore, so I have to generate another new key, and then I have to sign it again and share it again. But it's a problem when we are trying to find keys by email because it appears multiple times, so be careful with that. We are encouraged to use Ubuntu server distribution. Just be careful, or just be aware, because an Ubuntu server distribution doesn't contain a graphic interface, and if you are going to run something like an operating system with a graphic interface, might be easier, pretty much easier, but the process has some differences, so be careful with that. We need to somehow extract files from that machine, so we need to have access to the virtual machine that we are going to be working with, and also that machine needs to have access to internet. By the end of this video, if you, just in case you don't know how to connect to the Linux machine via SSH, I can let you know. It's not hard. And also, if you want to share a folder so that it can be easier from you to extract the files that we are going to be working, it might be helpful. So that's at the end of the video because it's not related to the lab. So I'm not going to go through all this process and lab because there is a bunch of information. I have here all the commands that we need to run to complete this lab. I'm going to share with you this later. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to open my terminal and I am going to connect. I have here these two machines ready. They are the same operating system. The difference are that this is, for instance, a server, an Ubuntu server distribution. It doesn't contain a graphic interface, so whatever you have to do it through the command line. If you install this machine as a virtual machine, probably you would have access to the machine through the command line in this way, in a terminal, and you don't have to do an SSH connection to the machine. This other guy is a normal Ubuntu desktop distribution, so we have here a graphic interface. This might be helpful, because we have access to the documents, downloads folder, or whatever. It has things on it because this is a machine that I use for other toys. This also contains some information, but I also use this machine for other purposes. In any case, I am going to connect to this machine. Ketchup is the name of that machine. It's a server, Ubuntu server. So here we are in this machine. Now, some differences that server distribution has is that, for instance, I am going to be working in the folder downloads. A server doesn't contain those normal folders that a desktop distribution might contain. For instance, if you are in your desktop distribution, you have, as you saw it here, you have these folders, downloads, music, pictures, program files, public, whatever. You have those folders because you are in a graphic distribution. In a server, those folders literally doesn't exist. You have to create them. So before running that command, I am going to mkdir. I'm going to create that folder. so that this folder can appear here as a normal directory. Why I am doing this? Because I'm going to create also another account for my partner to simulate my partner's account, and I am going to do it in the graphic environment machine. So that machine contains this folder, so just to have exactly the same paths in both machines. So now I can do a cd to downloads folder, and I am going to create inside of that folder another folder called lab. Why? Because we are going to download files and we are going to work with those files, and we have to share those files with our partners. So that's the reason why I choose this folder, downloads. I'm going to go into labs folder, and finally this is the path where I am going to be working. I am going to be working in home, ketchup, which is basically my username, downloads folder, lab folder, right? That's my path. Now let's generate the key. Please be careful, super careful with this step, and generate this key only once. And once you generate it, do not delete this key. Otherwise you won't have access, and you are going to basically lose this key, and you have to do the process again. So be careful with that. Do not remove that key. Whatever information you put there, just be careful. Those are the options that I extract from the lab here. You can read the whole document and go over the document so that you can know where I got these options that we are prompted to place there. So let's go back to the terminal. I'm going to run the first command. Just like those are commands, by the way, and this that I put in indentation and with asterisk, those are options that we have to provide to those commands. It's already here for you. Basically you have to copy and paste, and that's my intent with this video. So copy this, paste it, enter. Let's select the option 1, enter. Next option 2048, which is basically the size or the length of the encryption. Duration 5 weeks, enter. Confirmation, yes. That's that correct? Yes. Real name, I'm going to use this name, lab3, well, 3, yeah. Email, this one. Comment, this one. Letter O is not a 0, it's an O. Uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter. Now, this is a server distribution. It doesn't have graphic interface. It's going to prompt me something like this. In a graphic interface, it's going to be kind of different, but we are going to see that. So my phrase is going to be, or my secret, my password, or whatever is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You cannot click these buttons. You cannot click OK or cancel. You have to move it with your arrow keys down and up, or right and left. So down, enter. This is kind of weak. I don't care. Take it. Take this one anyway. Enter. Re-enter the phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down. Enter. It's going to do something, and then you are going to get this result. If you get this, we are fine. We are in the same track. So we already complete this step. The next one is going to be this command. You have to change this value for whatever you got from here. Control V. This key needs to be here. For you, it's going to be different. So just be aware that you are going to have a different key. And then you need to run this command. This command is just to push this key to this website. Is all that we are going to do with that command. We create a key in our local machine, and we are going to push that key to the server. Paste it, enter. Sending key blah 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 to this server. So you can copy that from here, or I already have it here. Control C, new tab, Control V, enter. Copy, paste it, search key. there is the key that I already created. This number that appears here, from here to here, is your key, which is basically also the same number that you have here. Here is your information, your name, your comment, your email, your name, email, comment, and another information that I don't know what is that. Sometimes when you try to find your key by email, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to go back, Control V, search. Sometimes it says not found. If you are sure that your email is correct, close the tab and open it again. Sometimes it doesn't find the keys. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a bug in the page or what's the problem with that. You can also find the keys by your name. Only the name. Oh, there is not found, but my name is correct because I copied that name from here, and then it cannot find my name. Well, there it find it. So try to find it by your name, so that your name kind of appears here at the top, and then take a screenshot of this with your name preferably, right? Let's continue. Let's get another guy's key. Let's try to find this key in the web page. Search. There is the key, or the keys. There are many keys, right? So we are going to find this in the command line. This command here is just to search keys. So we are going to search this key here, enter. Here are the keys. We need to get the key number 1, which is this one here, 1, enter. Imported, processed, imported 1, you are good. What keys do I have in my system? Control C, Control V, enter. I have this key. This number with spaces is exactly the same than this without spaces. And my key information, my name, my comment, my last name. And the key that we imported from this email here. This guy here, right? So we have literally 2 different keys in this machine right now. We are at this step. You can delete keys, and here is where you need to be, or you must be careful, because I deleted my key and then I don't have access anymore to the keys that I have under my name here. I don't have access to these keys because I already removed it from my machine, so I cannot touch those files, and I don't know how to delete it, how to remove it from here. So be careful with that. If you are going to remove someone else's keys, use this command, delete keys. If you want to remove your own key, you have to run this command and then the other command. Do not remove your own keys. Do not remove your own keys. You can remove someone else's keys, and all that you have to do is copy this, paste it, and then be careful, this is a string, so open single quotation and then paste the key number that we have here, close quote, and hit enter, and that is going to remove this key, right? Enter. Are you sure you want to remove it? Yes, enter. And if I print the keys again, I have only my own key. Do not remove your own key, right? You can add it again. Choose number 1, and then you can print again the keys, and there is the key again. you can retrieve or you can install or you can import someone else's keys without any problem. But if you remove your own key, you don't have access to your own keys again ever. So be careful with that. Maybe there is a chance, I don't know how, but just be careful. Now that's the first part of the lab. You know, working with your own key, you already create your key here, and then you push it to the server. Then you went to the server, you took a screenshot of your key from the server, and then you just got someone else's key, a random guy from internet, or I don't know, that guy. The second part of the lab involves to work with someone else's key, in this case your partner's key. So for this step I am going to stop for a little bit here because I don't have any other partner's key. This is someone else's, but I don't have access to this guy, or this guy, I don't know this guy, so that I can ask him something, you know. So I'm actually going to delete that key because this gets messy so easy. So 360, enter, remove it, yeah. Print my keys, I have only my key, and I am going to stop this terminal here. Now this is the Ubuntu server distribution, right? I'm going to move to this other machine that I have here, and I am going to do, in case, just in case you install like a, you know, a graphic environment distribution. Keep above others. Just in case you install a graphic distribution, this is what you are going to see in that distribution. And I am going to start by running again the commands from scratch. ll. Here are my folders, and I have downloads already created, so I don't have to create the folder downloads. I'm going just to do a cd. I'm going to do an ll just to make sure it contains something. Okay, anyways, I'm going to create my folder. I'm going to do a cd to that folder, and I am going to print my path. This is the path where I am going to be working here in this distribution. In this server distribution, which I had here, I was working in, where is it? In this path. That's the only reason. That's the only reason I create the folder download, so that we can have something similar, you know. I am in home, I am in the user Ketchup, I am in the user server, I am in the folder downloads, lab. You see, that's the only reason I am working here in this folder this way. Now let's create another key for this guy. Copy, paste it. Option 1, 2048, 5 weeks. Yes. Real name. This is going to be other person, lab test other person 3. You can find there person number 1, person number 2, and person without name, I think. Email, comment, and then the email. Oh, enter. There is a difference between the graphic environment and the server environment. The server just prompted me a message here on the screen because it doesn't contain a graphic environment. But this, if you are working with a graphic environment, you might see something like this. If you see something like this, this is the phrase. This is asking you basically your password. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Re-enter your password. 1 2 3 4 5 6. I am going to hit OK. This is kind of weak. take this one anyways, and it's going to go back to the terminal and continue doing something. So those are the differences that I found between the graphic environment and the server distribution, just to be aware of that. Now, I am mentioning that because if you are working in the graphic environment in this way, you won't have any problem. But if you try to do a SSH to this machine, that modal window is going to appear in the desktop environment, not in the terminal. If I was working here connected to an SSH to this guy here, this window here is going to be frozen until you go to your server or your machine, your virtual machine or real machine, and you hit the button OK with your mouse. Be careful with that. You might have that experience. I already had it. That's the reason why I ended with multiple accounts, because I created one, then I thought that the window was just frozen. I just connected again to my machine and I create another key, and it was a mess. So be careful with that. I'm going to continue here. So now I am going to push this key to the server. So this key here, oops, space, we don't need single quotes here, copy, paste it, enter. Sending key, done. I'm going to copy this guy. I'm going to open here another tab, paste it, enter, go back to the terminal. Where are you? You, here, search. Here we have, this is my original, no, here. This is my original account, or my original key that I created with my server account with this guy, right? This is the other one that I created, other person, and Ulysses CR. So I have now two different keys to work with. Going back to my server, I'm not going to go through this process because it doesn't make sense. So if I print only my keys in my server, I have here only one key, this one, the one that I created for this specific machine. This machine is other person, this terminal is myself. Here, sometimes kind of tricky to find it. Now, working with your partner's key, now I can continue with my lab. Let's take a look at this part. My partner's key is other person 3, so I'm going to replace that here, 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 here. There is. I had the other name because this is not the first time I am doing that. Let's try to search in the same way. This command is exactly the same that the command that we did for this other random guy. So let's try to find my partner's key here. Enter. There is other person key. I am going to select the option 1 because it appears only one. And not found. Well, in that case, what I am going to do, instead of the email, I don't know why sometimes it finds the keys without problem, and sometimes have issues. But in any case, I have here the key that I create for that machine, and I am going to paste it here. Enter. Not found. Did I do any mistake? Lab 3, lab 3, lab comment. Here is the comment that I did, which I think let me try to find it by this short number, which, by the way, I don't know what is that number. But it works. Lab person 3. Yeah, it looks like that's my key. Okay, option 1, enter. Great. So that's weird, completely weird. So usually you have to type here your partner's email, and that should be enough to find that key. Let's try it again. Option 1, not found. Well, this small number, where is it? Here. Sending key. This small number was the one that works for me in this case. The point is that you have to find your partner's key. Let me clear this. Let's print the keys that we have. And here I have my own key, Ulysses, and test other person 3 key. I have both of them here, right? Let me see something. Wait a minute. Not found. No idea. And I don't care, to be honest. Well, I have here the 2 keys. If you don't find it by email, try to find it by the person name. Let's try to find it by the person name. Or from here to here. Not found. Or this small number that you got when you push your key to the server, or the huge number. Somehow you have to find it, and your partner has to share that information with you guys. So there are my keys. I am going to sign this key by email. In this case, it finds it because it's just finding the key here locally in your machine. So option 3, which is I have done verify carefully, blah 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 blah, and then yes. My phrase 1 2 3 4 5 6. Hit down, enter, and then you are going to execute this other command. And here are kind of the keys that you already have. You have your keys, your own keys, other person, your one, the other person. you already got your partner's key. If you get this, you are fine. Then execute this other command. Until this point, we haven't created any file. If I do an ll, all the keys that I have been working is just either in memory or somewhere in the system. I don't know. You Google it if you want. So I'm going to create, or I am going to export my partner's key into a file. This is the first file that we are going to create. If I do an ll again, this here is the file that we are creating here. This is the file name with my partner's email. Then we are going to print the head of that file. I don't think this is to change anything in the file. And then we are going to encrypt that file that we created. So this is not yes, and I am going to do an ll again, enter, and then here we have two files. Finally, this is like the original file that we got and we import or export in this process. We export from our partner's key to a local file, and then we encrypted that file and we create another file. Well, it creates the file with the same name, just as plus this extension. If you do an ll and you get this, you are okay. Then you have to run these commands. Other person 3. File. Oh, well, I don't think this command is going to run here because this is a graphic server interface. It's not a graphic interface. So don't worry for that. If you don't get that command, that's okay. But if you get this, that's okay. In any case, these commands are not meant to change the file at all. It's just to print information on the screen. Yeah, I also figure out that later, but well, anyways, if you get these two files, you are fine. You can send these two, or those are the files that you have to send to your partner or to the owner of these files here. You must send those files back to the owner. In this case, the owner is this server here, or this machine here. This was the other guy that I am using, and this is my account or user. So I already have here, I have access to that machine here. I also have some stuffs here because I have been doing, this is another machine that I use for other purposes. So I am going to place those files into this folder because this is the folder that I have shared in my machine. So I am going to do a cp to copy this file. Well, before copying this file, I need to know the target. This folder that is here with these two directories is this folder basically. So I'm going to do a pwd. This is the destination folder that I need, and copy this to that, and copy this to the same. If I come back here, here are those files that I already generate, and I am going to move this into this machine. That machine is this one here, so I'm just going to copy those files here. You have to email those files to your partner or the owner of that key. In this case, I'm here. Now, until this point, basically you are done with step number 2. But you need to get similar files from your partner to you. So I'm going to repeat again step number 2 or part number 2 in this machine. So I'm going to find my partner's key, which is Ulysses. Oops. Enter. Oh, and in this case I was able to find it by email. So option is the option is 1, enter, imported. That's the key, imported. Then let's print the keys. In this machine I have my test another person and I have test Ulysses keys, so we are fine. I'm going to copy this and Ulysses, choose 3 and choose Y and execute this. Choose 3, choose yes, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and that's it. And then there are again the keys. I am going to export. I don't have any file, so I am going to export my partner's key here. Let me do it here. That's the reason why at the beginning it was kind of the other way around. Yeah. So what I am doing, I don't have anything, so let me find my partner's key. 1, enter. It didn't ask me. Perfect. Key not changed. Oh, we already did that. I have it there. I'm going to export my partner's key. At this point I should have one file. Perfect. And then I'm going to print this. I'm going to sign my partner's key, and at this point I have 2 keys to send to Ulysses, from other guy to Ulysses. And here, this command, this was the command that crashes on the server because it doesn't have a graphic interface. So if you get an error, don't worry, you are fine. If you are running a graphic distribution and you get something like this, also you are fine. In any case, I don't believe any of these commands are changing information on the file. It's just to print information on the screen. Now, I am working on downloads, lab, and here are my Ulysses files. I'm going to send those files to the other guy. From here to here, from here to here. And I am going to receive from Ulysses these files from here to, I cannot, finicky. There is. So let's go back here to the host machine. In my Ubuntu server, I have these files. In my Ketchup server, I haven't sent those files. So let's go back to my server here. I need to copy from Ubuntu. What did I do? Wait. I'm lost. Person lab test code Ulysses. Yeah, perfect. Here I need to put these files into my Ketchup server. I'm going to move it here. There is. And I need to move this into my downloads folder in my server. So I'm going to cd here are the files that I want. Those are the files that other person signed for me, and he sent me those files through email. And now I have these files here with me. I know it's kind of confusing, but follow me, or at least I hope you are following me. I'm going to move lab test Ulysses to downloads lab, and then I am going to move perfect. Those files are not here. cd downloads lab, enter ll. Here we are. Those are the files that I generate for the other machine, this one, and these are the files that the other guy generate for me, and he sent me back those files to me because I am the owner. So in that case, we can continue working with the final step, or one of the final steps. If you do an LL and you can see all the files, you are good. You are going to decrypt your file, in this case Ulysses CR3 GPG, this guy here. So, copy, paste it, enter, and it's going to ask you your private key. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Hit down, enter. If you get this, you are fine. And then you execute the next line, enter, and then you just do an import, enter, and valid 1, completes needed 1. If you get this, you are good. Let's do this again, and I think check this. Well, this is kind of complex to read, but this was the line of code, or line of, this was the signature that the other person adds to your file. We are going to send again our key to the server, this one. Before doing that, I am going to close, open a new tab, and I am going to find I'm going to find this key. This is my key where I have been working with my email. It has only this line of code or signature or whatever. I am going to push to the server the new file that I received from my partner, and then I am going to open this in another new tab, I'm going to copy not all of that, but only this, paste it, search it. And that was not the expected result. Let me send it again. There is. This line that we have here doesn't appear here. This was the first search that I did before pushing my signature again, or my key, to the server. And we have only one signature. In this case, we have two. You know, the original one that I had and the one that my partner did for me. That's the reason. Once you get to this point, you can just take a screenshot and you are basically done working with your partners. The last part is pretty much easier. Just let me to recap what we have done in these 3 steps. Basically, we create and push a new key to the server. We found that key, or we try to find that key, and we are searching for someone else's key. This is irrelevant for us. This is just an exercise, but you have to do it because we need to take a screenshot. We create a new key. We get our partner's key. Our partners also needs to create a new key in the server. We encrypt his key, and then we send the files that we create with his keys to him again. He decrypts the files that he receives from us, and he pushes to the server again. That's basically what we are doing. Create a key, get my partner's key, signed that key, and then send that key to the partner. The partner pushes to the server, and then it appears here like signed by someone else. That's the only difference, and that's all the process that we are doing. Finally, we can just copy and paste this, paste it, create another new folder, go into that folder, download this file, then download this other file, and then do this ll. Here are the two files that we already downloaded from previous steps. Run this. Take a look at this number because you are going to need it in the next step. Paste it, enter, 1, enter, imported. If you get that, you are good. Run this command again, enter, edit key, the number that you got at the beginning, which is this, enter, type trust 5, yes, save, and finally take this and take a screenshot of this mess. That's it for the final part. This is a key from Firefox, I think, or something like that. I hope you get like the general idea. If you have questions, let me know. Now, if you need to know how to connect via SSH to your server, you need to run this command. Go to your Linux, either graphic or server environment, doesn't really matter, and run this command. I already have it here, so for me doesn't make sense. It's going to ask you if you really want to install it. Type yes, 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 yes to all, and that's it. That's all that you have to do to install OpenSSH server in your machine, so that you can connect from other machine. I'm going to paste this here at the end of this document. Extras. This is to install, and this is to connect. Of course, here instead of server, this is your user name, and instead of this IP is your and this is exactly the same. This is to connect to the port 22. I am going to put it in. There is. I think it's more readable. Now, how to connect? Because I am connecting here from Linux to Linux, but you are using. Oops. Close it for a bit, please. You are using Windows, so let me run that guy. Now, how to create another folder? I am going to share with you this information here, and I am going to paste it here. share a folder from Linux. You can follow this link. It explains everything you need to know. This is again your user name, and those are the commands to install Samba, which is a file server for Linux. Execute this. Indeed, this command here is a good idea also here at the beginning. If you get a specific version like this, you are fine. You are ready to set up a configuration. You have to execute this command, and this is going to ask you your machine password, and then at the end of all this mess you have to copy and paste this if you want. Again, here is your user name. I choose the name Ketchup because that is my user, but here is again, you guess, you get it, your username, don't touch those permissions, your username, your username, and that's it. This is the name you are going to see in your folder. If you want a different name, like, I don't know, documents, downloads, or lab, or whatever. In my case, I had wroot because I am using this server just to some web applications. So this is the folder that I am interested. If you change this, change it here, change it here, 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 and here. If you only copy and paste this to the end of your file, because remember we are in this file, you are good. At the end, once you paste this, save and exit. You have to do Ctrl+O and then hit enter, and then Ctrl+X. Your physical folder in your system. And then restart your service. So once you copy and paste that here, you just press Ctrl+O, enter, Ctrl+X, enter, and then Ctrl+X, and you are back into your terminal. Then execute this command, execute this command, execute this command. This command is going to create a folder. This command is going to grant all the permissions to this group of users and that user, and this is going to change all the power for whatever user to that folder so that you can read and write files. And then at the end you just restart your service, and if you get something like this, you are ready to share files in your local network. Follow these instructions again if you have doubts. It explains basically all these steps that I wrote here. And in Windows, here we are. In Windows, if you want to SSH a Linux machine, type SSH, enter. If you get something like that, you have SSH installed, or at least working. If you don't have, I don't have any idea how to install it in Windows. It already came with this virtual machine. So to connect to your machine, here. Let me put that there. This one here, and keep above others. To connect to your machine, once you run this in your Linux machine, I am assuming that you already run this, then you already do this. To connect from Windows, this is what you have to execute, right? So let's do it. I am going to SSH my ketchup user at, I don't know, my IP. IP address. My IP in this machine is this one, 227. There is my username at my IP space -p, port 2222. Enter. The first time you connect to that machine, because I have never connected from Windows to Linux, I don't even use it, but the first time you connect is going to ask you, are you sure you want to connect to this, because we might not know that machine, and blah 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 blah. Oops, not you. Yes, and it's going to ask you your password that you were asked when you created your account on Linux. 1 2 3 4 5 6. This case, this is my Linux password, 1 2 3 4 5 6 for this machine. It's just that I am using always the same. And here you are no longer in Windows, you are logging in Linux in the same way I did it here. So whatever command I am going to run here is going to be executed in this machine, because I am connected to exactly the same machine from different places. You see, if I do sudo apt update, that's a Linux command. Oops. You see, you cannot execute that on Windows, and there is no way it's going to work. If I do sudo apt update, Windows is like, yeah, what is that? Is that eatable? So because I am in this terminal in a Linux machine, this is not a Linux emulator, this is a Linux machine. I am literally logging in a machine. So I can run all these Linux commands, and whatever we have to execute here is basically those commands. If I run this command here again, well, gpg full generate key, that is going to be executed in the Linux machine that you are connected to. So just to be clear, when you SSH a machine, you are executing a command in the same way you were executing a command from the keyboard in that machine, right? So how to exit from here? Well, you can just always close it, but that is going to keep the session open. So the command in Linux to exit is just exit, the same that Windows, exit, and that's it. How you connect to the folder that we created, that is how you connect to the terminal. How you connect to the folder? Okay, network locations, next, create a custom network location, and again my IP is 7227 diagonal, there is my folder, www.root. Click it. If it doesn't appear, just type it. Next, I'm going to go with a short name. In ketchup. Oops, not typing. In ketchup. Click next and click finish, and there is my folder. You know, here if you open, those are the files, and from here you can easily copy, paste. You can create a new file, file, or you can also delete it, because you grant all the permissions for whatever user in this folder. If by any chance Control S there is, you can save that document here. If you do not run these commands, you won't have access to write files here, and you want access to. You want to be able to write files here, because you need to send, you need to move files, so it's up to you. I think that's it, and if you have questions, let me know.